Alright, you beautiful people, Kanzi here, bringing you episode 6 of the Rise of the Holy Nation. The plan for this episode is quite easy. We want to take out the Black Dragon Ninjas. There will be one of the easier bounties in this area for us to pull off, and it will also increase our relation with the Holy Nation. The kit that they drop won't be super useful, nor is it that valuable, but for this point in the game, it will be better than a lot of the kit that we have, so we can put it to some good use. But in the meantime, we have Peter fighting an Orion Crocodile. We were just on our way back from Skinner's Rome, where we were training in the last episode against a bunch of hungry bandits. If you take out an Orion Crocodile, they drop a skin, and the skin is worth 3,000 cats. So it's well worth taking them down for that. Orion Crocodiles are basically just bigger, badder bone dogs with a hyper fast attack speed. Real dangerous creatures. But if you can get one down, they are definitely worth it. So we are heading back to Blister Hill. Part of the reason we're going back to Blister Hill is we've got some kit to drop off. We also want to get some more weapon and armor production on the go. Not that we're going to be able to get much going, but a bit is always going to be helpful because we want to start our own base, ideally next episode. So if we can get things in place so we can start that, we're going to be in a very good situation. The main thing we're after is leveling up our smiths. So once the smiths have a reliable supply of fabric and iron plates, they'll be able to produce armor and weapons for us. Because at the moment they're producing very low quality kit, so it is not very useful to us. It's not even worth selling, so we're losing money on it at the moment. But once we can get them up to a decent level, we'll be able to make a fair amount. We already have Gnu resting up. We're now going to get Pete healing up. Griffin doesn't need to rest up either. And then once everyone is ready, we will start heading out to the Black Dragon Ninjas. We have sold off the Orion Crocodile skins. We also brought some iron plates, and now we're after some new leg kit. So we're looking for any schematics for boots, and we're also after a small backpack. Unfortunately, there aren't any schematics for what we want, so we'll just have to settle for the small backpack and then we'll move on. We need to get Gnu re-equipped, so we're going to give him his cross polearm, get him another katana, and also change out his rags of assassin rags. This is going to help him train his dexterity, and now we're all kitted up, let's start heading down towards the Black Dragon Ninjas. If this goes well, what we can do is we can look to going towards the next bounty, so it'll either be the Dust King because we'll be in the close area, or we might go straight to the Fotsam Ninjas because that will really help our relation with the Holy Nation. We want them as an ally because we're going to be fighting the Shek and United City soon, so having them backing us up means we're going to be able to start taking aggressive action sooner than later, because we won't need to wait until our guys are powerful enough to defend the base. This way we'll pretty much always have a supporting group, so we're going to be able to move forward and be hyper aggressive in this playthrough. Just before we got into Skinner's Rome, we have found these two drifters. The first one is Luna. It looks like she's in samurai plate and heading from the United Cities, so we're going to go and talk to her, see what the story is. And asking, are we friends with United Cities? We're saying no, because obviously we don't like United Cities. She says she doesn't like them. And then continue on with that. And hopefully we can get her to join. She has decent enough stats. Looks like she'll have decent enough kit. And should be a decent addition to the team. So hopefully this all works out. And we've now got a character that somehow looks like a more masculine version of Jesse Eisenberg, while still being a female. Which I think's a fairly funny thing. And we have a second drifter as well who we're going to choose. So the cost for them is free, but it comes at -10 relation to the United Cities. Same backstory, same request as well, so we'll get them to join. And now we have two half decent samurai plate wearing drifters joining us. So this should make taking down the Black Dragon Ninjas a little bit easier. I'm not expecting miracles from them because they are still low level, but they're definitely better than some of the people that we have already. Just having a look over their kit, most of their armor is shoddy grade, but they do have a Mark III katana, which is a decent katana. It's worth about 3.5k, so that is pretty good for us. But now this isn't good for us. There are two grief wraiths on the way that we want to be going, so we're going to give them a wide berth, move around them, and then carry on, because those grief wraiths would just kill the 5 of my characters in absolutely no time. Not an issue, just means we've got to take a bit of a detour, but we can carry on our way to the Black Dragon Ninjas. A very uneventful journey getting here, so we are at full health. We got nothing to worry about, so we are fresh for the fight. We've got a bunch of manhunters here, which is pretty good for us. So what we can do is, if we get in a fight, once we start knocking down these Black Dragon Ninjas, the manhunters will get involved trying to enslave them, which then means the ninjas are then going to aggro onto the manhunters. meaning we won't be fighting all the Black Dragon Ninjas by ourselves. So it'll be a three-way fight. So it'll be us and the Manhunters versus the Black Dragon Ninjas, which will give us a bit of an advantage, seeing as the Black Dragon Ninjas are going to outnumber us. So we're always going to have an issue with that, and they're also using high bleed weapons. Unfortunately, that means they have a massive advantage in a prolonged fight, because each time they attack, it will put a little bit of bleed damage on. That bleed damage will prevent our guys from having any regeneration, and so over time it will build up, meaning they're going to be able to work down our juggernauts very quickly. As you can see, Griffin and Luna are already down, but the Black Dragon Ninjas seem to be fighting the Dark Hive, which is good for us. That means we don't have to fight all the Black Dragon Ninjas at the same time. We do have Denmark has come up. She is the leader of the Black Dragon Ninjas. If we can take her out early on, we could try to disengage if we want. Alternatively, she has some decent equipment, so decent armor and a decent ninja blade, and if we can take that, that is going to be pretty sweet for us. We're going to need to pull GNU back so we can get him healing the other guys up, because Zoo is bleeding out quite heavily, and I don't want to lose the guys in this fight this early on. Just throwing it out there, this is not going super well for us. We are 3 characters down, and GNU doesn't have a medipack, so we're going to need to run GNU over to Griffin to try and get the supplies. But for some reason, GNU is struggling to get to Griffin, which is a little bit annoying, because obviously if we can't get the medipacks from Griffin, we can't heal anyone up, but it also means that we won't be able to get to Griffin to heal him either. So we're going to try, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. What we're going to need to do is take GNU, send him to Peter the Hermit so we can get the medikits. From there, we're going to go back and try to heal as many guys as we can. This isn't going to be the best way to do it, because GNU is in very light armor, so once the guys come and aggro on, which they will, GNU won't be able to stay in the fight for very long. This will mean that our guys won't bleed out. Peter the Hermit won't be fighting as many people, so there is going to be an advantage for him, but this does mean it is pretty much going to be Peter the Hermit versus all of the Black Dragon Ninjas, and there is a lot of them. I do have a plan. It's not a good plan, and any of you that watch my episodes for any length of time know that my plans are very simple, very straightforward, but they seem to work some of the time. We're going to change the Wizawaki out for the Katana. This is going to give him a better arc, so he's going to be able to cleave more people. Once a lot of them start aggroing over and we start to get surrounded, we're going to pull back, use the Alpha Strikes to go in, cause as much, well, alpha damage as we can, and we're going to work them down from there. We do have some Band of Bones walking around. It won't be too long until they aggro in as well. We're going to try to get the Dark Hive to get involved again, but they just seem to have run away, which is annoying. So that's 3 groups that we should have had helping us. The Dark Hive stopped fighting the Black Dragon Ninjas, the Dust Bandits haven't got involved, and the Manhunters didn't try to kidnap anyone. So it is us versus the Black Dragon Ninjas, whereas coming in, that kind of was the plan, to get everyone else aggroing in as we saw them. That hasn't happened, but we are going to need to go and get onto some first aid. Luna is in a pretty bad shape. Zoo has been healed up quite well, and we've got an issue getting to Griffin at the moment. So it's looking like we will lose Griffin unless we can get to him after this fight and he doesn't bleed out. Chances of that happening are very slim, but we can always try. Thankfully, the standard mercenary plate is doing a very good job for Peter the Hermit. Their swords are not doing much damage to him, and his toughness is crazy high. It's already like in the 90s, which is insane. And that will open up a lot of different armor options, because when you don't need to rely on the cut and blunt resist because you have a high toughness, you can choose armor sets that give you bonuses to your stats instead of debuffs. So say on the Holy Chestplate or Samurai armor, those have negative debuffs on them. So they affect your attack speed, they affect your attack damage, they have negative effects on your actual damage itself, dexterity, whereas other sets like lighter armors, they give you bonuses to those stats, but obviously they come at the cost of not offering you much armor protection. But if you have a high toughness, that armor protection isn't as important, so we should be able to start moving our characters across into lighter armor so that they can have the better stats, so they're going to be better fighters. Then our fighters that won't be as good, what we'll do is we'll put them into the heavier armor. This means they can stay in the fight for a longer time, which is going to give them bonuses to getting their stats up. Then once their stats and toughness start heading up, we can then change them across into lighter armor, and then so on and so forth. So we're going to have a bunch of guys that are going to be really good, and then the guys that aren't as good, they're going to be our tanky ones, even though they won't be as tanky because they've got lower toughness. But it's going to be a nice balance for our crew. Talking about crew, we have to try and get to Griffin. So what I've done is I've redone the navigation mesh, hoping that we can get down to him, but it's looking like that is not going to help. What is going to help is that the manhunters are now fighting the black dragon ninjas. So there's going to be less of them fighting us, which will help us out because they're going to be easier to take down in smaller groups. We're still fighting about 7 or 8 with Peter at the moment, but that is manageable for him. We are still going to be trying to get to Griffin as soon as we can because he is bleeding out super quick. He also has a lot of the medical supplies and all of the food. Juggernauts burn through food so quick it's untrue. They will starve to death in virtually no time, and as you can see, his food bar is going down really quick. Once that goes below 200, he's going to start having quite a few negative effects to his stats, which is going to put him in a very bad situation. Griffin is now dead. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get to him to heal him, which is a shame. Griffin could have been a good member to the team, but these things happen. It is Kenshi. We're also in a nice situation where we're not fighting as many Black Dragon ninjas. Zoo did get up, tried to get back into the fight, but has been taken down, so we'll need to check her stats, see how heavily she's bleeding so we don't lose her. But the rest of the Black Dragons have now finished off the Manhunters and are coming into us. So I think we'll need to go back to the first strategy, which is going to be trying to get the alpha strikes off, pull back, attack, get back in. This way we're going to be able to kite them. Some of them will de-aggro as we're kiting a long distance, so we're going to be fighting less of them. They're going to be more manageable for Peter to take down. Right now we are not surrounded, so I think it's time to get a few more attacks in. Not a massive amount because soon they're going to start looping around, and once they do we're going to be in serious trouble. We have the 5 times attack slots activated. What this means is 5 people can attack us at the same time. In base Kenshi it's 1 time attack slot, and then on a lot of the challenging mods it's 3 times attack slot. I'll put the 5 times attack slot on just to try and balance out the juggernauts. This makes it quite difficult when you're fighting a large group. That means that even hungry bandits can be super dangerous. But we're going to kite back down this track. The reason we're doing that is obviously to thin out the numbers. It means we're not going to be fighting as many at the same time. As we go down here, a bunch will de-aggro as well, so we can fight them piecemeal, so little by little, and then work our way back up. I did change the limb dismemberment so that it is set to never. This is making this fight a little bit more challenging, because what's happening is normally when you chop someone's limb off, they bleed out when they're in a fight because the guys don't have time to turn around and heal them. But with this, where limb dismemberment is not on, it means that they don't lose their limbs, so they don't bleed out. So a lot of them are getting back up, which is causing us a bit of a problem because we're fighting a lot more of them now than we would normally be doing. But we seem to be doing alright. They're still getting too many numbers and they're outnumbering us. They're filling all those attack slots and it's causing Pete a bit of an issue. But each time he can get one of these alpha strikes off, he seems to be taking down 1, sometimes 2 of them. And all we got to do is just keep doing that. Their numbers will thin, and then we can start moving back up and repeat this process until we thin down their numbers quite a lot. One thing I forgot to mention, as we were going down the track, I saw a dust bandit patrol heading towards the tower, and there were 2 cage beasts heading that way as well. Hopefully the dust bandits will aggro on to the ninjas. I'm not expecting them to do a crazy amount of damage, but them just being in a fight means they will get a little bit of damage off, so they might knock a couple people down, which would be super helpful to us. If we get lucky, they might be able to take more down, but it also means that once we head back up there, they are going to be weaker than when we set off. It's not going to be game changing, and if they'd come in earlier, it would have made a massive difference. But right now, any advantage we can get is going to be super important. Peter is getting quite damaged, so his stats are dropping. He's not going to be fighting as quick. He's not going to be doing as much damage. So having that there is going to be super useful to us. We've got Pete healed up, so now he is going to go back in and we're going to try to finish this fight. We were able to get a tiny bit of first aid in, so hopefully no one will bleed out in this time. But what we have is we have Pazan coming down, who is one of the leaders of the Black Dragon Ninjas. Pretty decent stats, not crazy amazing, but does have some very good armor and equipment. The chest plate is a Masterwork Black Dragon plate, so it's basically like the unholy chest plate, and that thing offers insane chest protection. I think it offers the highest chest protection of any item within the game, but the trade-off is it only offers a little bit of arm protection and a little bit of leg protection. Still has quite a few debuffs for attack speed, attack damage and dexterity, but should be a nice addition to our armory. The ninja blade they're using isn't a Meitu blade, but it is a very high quality blade nonetheless. It's above an Edgewalker but below a Meitu, which yet again is going to be a very nice thing to add to our armory. Bazan is proven to be quite a tough cookie to take down. well deserving of the title of one of the leaders of the Black Dragon Ninjas. Managing to get a bit of damage off against Peter, but thankfully Peter's plate is keeping him safe, same with his toughness. However, Bazan is taking a bit of damage, slowing quite quickly, legs are mashed up, one of the arms is pretty mashed up, and so will go down shortly, and got quite lucky with where the attacks landed because they weren't falling in the same place. But here is the chest plate. Not as good as I thought it was going to be, but still 32% blunt, 63% cut damage, which is pretty good, and then the debuffs on it are not too bad either. So it's all round a decent bit of kit, not exceptional, but definitely better than what we have. So I think we are going to go and wear it. We will wear the Jonin pants. They offer pretty decent protection and they're light as well, so there's no debuffs on them. The boots don't really make much sense to me. And then we have the Ninja Blade Death, which has no penalties to armor penetration and does 1.72 attack damage and has 1.1 bleed damage. So that is a nice weapon. This should make Peter a bit of a powerhouse right now. And with this kit, let's go and finish off the Black Dragon Ninjas. We're going to go around and first aid everyone, then we'll heal Pete and then get in and finish this fight. We should be able to hand in both those bounties for some pretty decent relation and a nice amount of cats. We've nearly got everyone healed other than Zoo at the moment, but it looked like the Black Dragon Ninjas didn't like us healing up. So Denmark has come out with another Black Dragon Ninja. This should be a fairly straightforward fight, but they seem to be getting more attacks off than I was expecting. Thankfully, we have the Black Dragon chestplate, which is offering some very, very good protection for us. It has less debuffs than the mercenary plate that we're using, so it means Pete is a better fighter, but if he gets tagged on the arms, he isn't going to be in a very good situation. But Denmark is down, that went pretty quick. We will get healed up and heal Denmark up as well, because she's going to be no use to us if she's dead when we hand in the bounty. We have healed up Denmark, so we're going to pick her up so we can hand her in for that juicy bounty and that relation. We're going to kill the other Black Dragon Ninjas that are crawling around just because we can. We also need to keep an eye out for Bazan because I'm not sure where she ran off to. I saw her get back up, but we were in the middle of a fight, so we couldn't really do much about it. And now I do not know where she is. So we're going to need to keep an eye out for that bounty. But in the meantime, we're going to get everything sorted again. And then I reckon we head into the Black Dragon's tower and see if we can get any decent loot from there. So far we've only been able to find food, which isn't an issue because Pete needs a lot of food at the moment. He is pretty much starving, so the more food we can get, the better. Ideally we'd like to find some better equipment, maybe some research stuff, which would always be nice, but we are running into the issue that Pete cannot pick locks. This is the only lock that he's been able to pick so far. We found a advanced research book and a couple schematics, which we will sort when we're back at the base. Most of the Black Dragon Ninjas are dead, and a Orion Crocodile went into the bottom floor and has killed most of them off, and it is still just running around chomping on everyone that's around. What we need to do is we need to look into fighting Bazan, and then we can hand Bazan in for the bounty as well. So we have Denmark and Bazan being handed in, which will be really good for us. That's a bunch of money and a whole ton of relation. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, I need to bring this episode to an end. So thank you for watching episode 6 of Kenshi, Rise of the Holy Nation. You guys have been awesome. All your likes, comments, subs have been amazing. And I look forward to catching you on the next one.